Real estate investment practice problem using Excel. Adjustable rate mortgage or ARM, this time with a payment cap as opposed to a rate cap. Part number 1. Get ready because we're raising the stakes with real estate. Here we are in our Excel worksheet. If you have access to the Excel worksheet, would like to follow along, note that we have 3 tabs down below: example, practice, and blank. Let's take a look at them now, starting with the example tab, in essence being an answer key. We start off looking at the standard 30-year fixed at the 10% fixed rate, creating the amortization table with it so we can compare and contrast to the adjustable rate or ARM that we will be focusing in on here. We'll have some changes to the adjustable rate from the prior practice problems we have looked at. Loan at the 100,000, years at 30, months 360, initial rate this time 9%. Then we have a cap, but it's not going to be a rate cap this time. We have an annual payment cap of the 7.5%. Then we have the margin, which is going to be the 2%. We will construct our table, which will include the index. That's going to be basically some index that once we're starting the loan, we don't know what's going to happen in the future. We can project or predict the index that's going to be happening in the future, which will generally reflect the market, and then we'll apply our margin to get to our rate for the 2% margin. Then we'll think about the payments as if there were no restriction that would be involved calculating the payments. Then we'll think about the cap on the payments. We'll do this a couple different ways. One, just thinking about the cap intuitively. And then secondly, we'll go back and do like a logic function for it. And we'll be calculating our ending balances as we go through this process as well. And then we'll get into our cash flow. We will then be looking at our amortization table as we go. We'll create a pivot table. Then we'll use our IRR calculations as well. Let's go to the practice tab. This will have some pre-formatted blue cells here so you can work the practice problem a little bit faster with a little less formatting. But we're going to be doing over here, we're going to go to our blank tab, which we're going to start off with this little scratch of information, and then we're going to make all our stuff from it. So on the left-hand side, we have our standard 30-year. We're going to be comparing and contrasting to this amortization table. We'll have our adjustable information on the left. We'll start to build our table as we have seen in prior practice problems with it. So we're going to build a little table here. I'm going to start with the headers: year, index, rate. I'm just going to type them out and not worry about the fact that I'm going over the edge of the cell. I'm going to call this not restricted instead of unrestricted so that I can payment, so I can make it into 2 columns more easy, payment. And then this is going to be capped payment. That's where we're going to apply the cap. Then we'll have our balance, and then we'll have the cash flow. And now let's format these. I'm going to select those cells. We're going to go to our formatting up top. Let's make the font group black and white, as has been our tradition for the headers. And then let's wrap this thing, alignment wrapping the text. And then we're going to, let's make it a little bit wider right there. So there, and then let's center the text like so. There we go, like so, there we go. Let's add some years. We're going to go 5 years out again, 1, 0, 1, 2. Selecting those 3 because I don't want to type the other 3 to 5 or whatever it is to 5. However many it is to count up there. I'll just auto fill it down. And then we're going to go to the alignment and center it. And then we'll start off with our balance, which is going to be the 100,000 on the loan. We're going to just apply the index information because this is going to be and where are we getting the index information? It would be a projection, or if time had passed, we'd have to get them from the actual index. So we're going to predict what the index will do. I'm going to select these entire 2 columns. Add some percents to it, number, group, percent, couple decimal, because these are all going to be percents. We're going to have our familiar index that started in year 2, 10%, 13%. That's a 1. That's a 1, not a 10. 13, 15, and 10 this time. 10, 13, 15, and 10. And then we're going to have our rate, the first rate, often that teaser rate, so it's not going to be based on the index. We're just going to say that's the 9%. And then we're going to be increasing this by the 2% margin. There's not a cap on the rate this time. There's a cap on the amount that's paid. So we're just going to go with this 2% increase as we've seen in the past. It's going to be the 10% plus the 2 down here plus the 2%. Let's make that absolute. F4 on the keyboard, $ before the L and the 9. And then we'll simply copy it down. Copy it down, fill handle, dragging Phil's handle down, 13 to 15, 15 to 17, 10 to 12. That's how it's done. Now let's do the payments. We're going to calculate the payments that are no restriction as if there's not a restriction here. And then we'll just think about what the restriction would be, meaning we're restricted to that 7.5%. Now we don't have a restricted in the first one because it's the first year, so we could just do a normal payment calculation. So we'll use our payment calculation, negative PMT, shift 9. We're going to take the rate, which is going to be that 9%, divide that by 12 to get the monthly rate, comma, number of periods. This is going to be in years first, so I'm going to put brackets. We're going to pick up the year of 30 years on the left-hand side. That's outside of our table, so we want to make it absolute by selecting F4 on the keyboard, $ before the L and the 5. Then we're subtracting out 1, which is on the left here, and then we're going to say plus 1. Why did we do that? Minus 1 plus 1, because that leaves us at the 30 still, which is what we started with, because when we copy it down, then the next one will be 2 plus 1, which will give us 29 after we subtract that from the 30. So it'll copy down for copy down purposes. That's why. And then we'll take that and multiply it times 12 to get the number of payments. And then comma. Then we got the present value, which is right there in S something, S3, S2. It's in S2. There it is. That's what we need. Let's hit enter. It's going to close it up for me. Close up the brackets. Okay. Let's add some decimals to these two. Let's add some decimals. Number group, 2 decimals for the pennies. We should be able to copy that down, although it won't populate all the way down because we're missing the ending balances over here. So now we could say, is this one violating the cap rule of 7.5% of the prior amount? Well, we don't have a prior amount. That means it's not violating the rule. So no, it's not. The rule has not been violated. Now let's calculate the ending balance. I'm going to do this a little bit different than we did last time. We're going to use the future value calculation to figure the ending balance. That will look like this. We're going to say equals future value. We're going to say shift 9. The rate's going to be then that 9%. That's the yearly rate. We'll divide that by 12, comma, number of periods. Now there's going to be 12 periods out from the last time we had it, which was the 100,000. So I'm going to say 12 months, 12 periods. I'm just going to type it in there for 1 year in months, comma. The payment is going to be what we just calculated here, the 1,804.62, and then comma. The present value I'm going to put in as a negative. That's important. And then pick up the balance, which is the 100,000, and that should do it. Let's say enter, and we're going to get the 99,317. Now, we can, of course, make the amortization table and double check it. We'll do that in a future presentation, but let's keep it going here. Now, the next calculation here calculated for us, now that we had the ending balance calculate up top. Let's just do it again just for the practice of it. So I'm going to delete this and do this payment calculation again. So I'm going to say negative PMT shift 9 rate 12% divided by 12 to get the monthly rate, comma. The number of periods, we're going to say brackets, looking at years first, picking up the 30 years at the left-hand side. That's outside the table, therefore absolute reference, F4 keyboard, $L, $5, minus, and then we're going to say the 2 over here, then plus 1, so 30 minus 2 plus 1, 29 periods, 29 years, brackets, multiplying that times 12 because we're looking monthly periods. There we have it. Then we say comma. The present value is the prior balance, which you can't quite see. It's in S something, S3. There it is, closing up the brackets, shift 0 and enter. There we have it. Now we could copy that down and it should do it automatically, but we don't see anything yet due to the fact that we don't have an ending balance. Then we could say, okay, what about our capped rule, the cap rule? Now we can apply the 7.5. So is that greater than this plus 7.5? So we could do that a couple different ways. We could say, well, this times 7.5 would be that, and then this plus that would be that, and this is smaller than that, so we'd have to take the smaller one. Or we could take this times 100%, 1 plus 7.5, or 107.5% would get us right to that end point. So there it is. This one is smaller, so we're going to say that's what we need. We're going to say this times, let's say 1 plus 7.5, and because that is smaller than that, that means we're going to take the smaller one. Now we could do that, of course, with a logic function, which would be a more complex, and we'll redo it in a future calculation to do that using the logic functions, the if functions later. But now we'll just do it kind of intuitively and then go back into that next time. It's good to have the logic functions because then again, you can make your adjustments on the left-hand side and the right-hand side should populate automatically, which is nice. So then we can copy down this one this way, and you could copy this, of course, all the way down, and it should work. But let's redo it just to practice because that's what we're here for. We're practicing. This is going to be future value, shift 9. We're going to take the rate, which is the 12%, divided by 12 to get the monthly rate, comma. Number of periods is going to be then 12 because we're going to take 12 months future value from the prior point we were at. And then we're say, comma, the payment's what we just calculated. And then we're going to say, comma, present value is going to be negative, important, of the prior balance, S3, and enter. So we got the 109.43. Now we could, again, copy that down if we did it properly, and it should copy down, although it's not populated properly until we get the rest of the payment calculations in place. So let's do the next one. This next one now populated properly, but I'm going to redo it because that's what we're here for. Let's redo it. We're going to say this is going to now be, I'm going to say negative PMT, shift 9, rate 15% right over there. It's going to be picking up that 15% divided by 12 to get the monthly rate, comma, number of periods. It's going to be brackets. We'll pick up the 30. That's outside the table. Therefore, absolute reference is needed. F4 keyboard, $L, $5 minus the 3 plus 1, which in essence is minus 2. Brackets closed, multiplying that times 12 to get the months, comma. The present value then is going to be the last loan balance, which is right there. There's the last loan balance. It's in S4, closing up the brackets, shift 0 and enter. So there we have it. I think that looks right. If we copy that on down, we can do so, but it won't populate properly until we continue our ending balance calculations. Let's think about our cap here. Now, that looks like it's going to be above the 7.5% increase. So I'm going to do the 7.5 this times, I'm going to say brackets 1 plus the 7.5%, close brackets. So that 929 is less than that. Therefore, we take the lesser of. The ending balance now populates automatically, but let's calculate it again because that's what we're doing. We're doing the practice here. So we're going to say, all right, let's do ending balance. This is going to be then future value equals future value, shift 9, rate 15% divided by the 12. And then we're going to say, comma, number of periods is just going to be 12 because we're going to take it 12 periods from the last balance that we were at, 12 months that would be, comma, the payment is what we just calculated right there. There's the payment. And then comma, present value is going to be negative of the last ending balance we had, which is right there, and then close that up and enter. There we have it. We've done it again. We have done it again. And we can copy that down like so, and it'll do it automatically. Then we go to this one. This one's been calculated automatically, but let's practice it. So I'm going to delete these and say, let's do it again. We're going to say this is going to be negative present value, no, negative PMT, brackets, rate 17% divided by 12, comma, number of periods, brackets in years, 30 years, F4 keyboard, because that's outside of our table, $ before the L and 5, minus 4 plus 1, because we really want minus 3, brackets closed, that's in years, we need months, so we multiply it times 12, and then say comma, and then the present value is that last calculation that we were at right then and right there. Right then and there. We've got both the location and the time. Then and there. And then we'll see if that's going to be less than the capped amount, which it doesn't look like it's going to be. So we could say the last capped amount times, we'll say 1 plus the 7.5, close up the brackets. So that's smaller than that. So we're going to use this one again. Ending balance has calculated, but we want to practice with it. So I'm going to delete that. Let's do it again. This is going to be equal future value, shift 9, rate 17% divided by 12, comma, number of periods is now going to be 12 months since the last period time, comma, payment is going to be what we just calculated, and then comma, negative present value is the last balance that we were at. There it is, closing up the brackets. There we have it. And now we can do this one more time. We can do it one more time here. Let's do it. So this is going to be negative PMT, shift 9, rate 12% divided by 12, comma, number of periods is going to be brackets, years first, 30 on the left-hand side. That's outside our table, so we need to make it absolute. F4 on the keyboard, $ before the L and the 5, minus the 5 on the left-hand side, plus 1 to really say minus 4. Brackets closed, those are the months, times 12 to get, those are the years, times 12 to get the number of months. Comma, present value then is going to be the last balance we had right up top in S6, shift 0, brackets, closing it up. There it is, done it again. We've done it again. Then we're going to take the last balance times 1 plus the 7.5, close it up. And there it is. This is still smaller than that, which I thought we might not be there, but still smaller. Then we calculate the ending balance here. So we're just going to say ending balance equals future value, shift 9, rate 12% divided by 12, comma, number of periods is just going to be 12 because we're talking 12 months since the last balance we were at, comma, the payment is that thing we just calculated on the left-hand side. I hit the down arrow instead of the left arrow, but then I fixed it by hitting the left arrow 2 times and the up arrow 2 times. And then we're going to say, comma, present value is going to be negative of that last place we were at, which was the last balance in S6, shift 0, close it up, hit enter, and observe the result materializing before our eyes, materializing right before our eyes. So there it is. Now, next time, obviously, we can kind of copy these as we go and as we populate the cells, even though they're kind of staggered and the cells are dependent on each other, we could still basically copy them down. Next time we'll do this and we'll double check it with the amortization table, creating the amortization table as we go. This one has a strange impact on the amortization table due to these caps that are not there due to the interest cap. So it's important to kind of understand what is that going to do if we calculate, if we increase the interest rate, but then we capped it with regards to the amortization table. And so we'll take a look at that next time. We'll also kind of double check our ending balances in that format as well.